I'm Zach Shellhammer, and I help business owners identify their passion and hone their talent to create a much happier, successful business. And I am also a real estate broker associate and a realtor. So I've been keeping a very close eye on the news lately and absolutely freaking out over every opinion piece that I see published. I've held it in until this video, which is actually a little less about the lawsuit and rotten perceptions plaguing the real estate industry as of late, and more about writing in general, columns. I'm also a columnist. I write for Inman News. I'm a columnist in general. I'm a writer. I love to write, and I'm also a stickler for information. Sources. I think I lived around a lot of people that demanded that I reference and source everything that I'm telling them, which is a good thing. To catch you up, the real estate news is that the National Association of Realtors recently proposed a settlement that will have the buyer's agent getting paid by the buyers, not by the sellers. I'm not getting into that much right here and now. We'll do another video about that somewhere else in detail, but the way that people always become armchair experts when something hits the headlines drives me crazy. And this morning is no different. I'm reading an article, an opinion piece in the paper, which I usually skip over completely. Do not read the opinion section because opinions are like, But the headline about discovering the true value of realtors was just too good to pass up. So of course, it basically paints the pictures that buyers agents are useless. They open doors, they help with paperwork, and they hold their buyers' hands. It literally said that. But then it said, and I will read from the article, many sellers find their brokers by getting recommendations from friends. True. Research suggests that brokers often underprice homes, either by mistake or because it's in their interest to sell houses quickly and move on to their next deal. When real estate agents sell their own homes, they take a few more days to sell, but for 3.7% more in value. A 2005 study from economists Stephen D. Levitt and Chad Syverson found a 2005 study. Do you know what was happening in 2005? Do you remember 2005? Some people weren't even born yet in 2005 who are business owners today. Totally different landscape. If I was writing an article, especially one with facts and analytics and statistics of this level, I would not be quoting something that happened over 20 years ago. And just oh my. Research suggests brokers often underpriced homes, either by mistake. So if it's a mistake, then you're not doing a very good job, because that is like the top 3 things that a real estate agent and a realtor should be experts at, if not the top 1, is valuing the property, pricing the property appropriately, looking at the comps, and presenting a factual, detailed report. If you can't do that, and don't do it quickly, do it. A good CMA, a comparative market analysis, should be 40 minutes for a client that you care about. I know a lot of agents do like 15, 20 minutes, quick CMAs, but if you have been hired by a client, you are listing their house, or you are the buyer's agent who is analyzing the offer that they're putting in, you should take a good 40 minutes in most areas, unless it's like super, super cookie cutter. So if you're making a mistake, that's got nothing to do with anything. That just means you're a bad business owner. Or because it's in their own interest to sell houses. And this is where the lawsuit spawns from, is that a small percentage, in my opinion, and many others' opinions, there's a small percentage, like in any industry, of bad business people who are doing things for their own benefit. And that's what they seem to be focusing on here. We don't take people to houses based on the commission that's being paid. Prior to this lawsuit, not only have commissions always been negotiable, but when my buyer shows me that they want to see 123 Mockingbird Lane and 345 Donut Street, and I see that Donut Street is 1% and Mockingbird Lane is 3%, and I'm their buyer's agent, I have to take them to both. And usually they'll put down an offer on the one that just happens to be a 1% commission or a 2% commission. That has nothing to do with where I'm taking them. And most agents I know operate in this way. They are not going to steer, hello, bad word. They're not going to remove these things. So to think that they would price a house for their own benefit and their own bottom line, that just means you're a bad business person. And you shouldn't be doing this. And you should be reported if someone were to find out that you overpriced a house because of your own commission. That is horrendous. Then they go on to say, according to a study from 2012, because we all know what was happening in 2012. I remember what was happening in 2012, which looked at a market where the listing service was unbundled from other services such as marketing and negotiation. Many sellers didn't use agents. Adding a broker to the transaction reduced the selling price by 5.9 and 7.7%. Listen, this is another thing I keep hearing with all of this. Reduce the sales price. Reduce the house's value. Your commission it's not part of the value of the house. Those are the closing costs. So yes, with this lawsuit and the way that things are being maneuvered around and commissions in general, they are closing costs. You are reducing your costs. But that's not the value of the house. When I'm valuing a house, I don't go in and say, okay, so my 6% on top of this is that, and therefore your house is this value. No, your house is valued at $600,000. Anything on top of that is a closing cost, including my 6% or 5%, or when it's split, the 2 and the 2, the 3 and the 3, whatever. But that's not the house's value. And this is those armchair experts that come in at every headline. Suddenly everybody's a brain surgeon or a neurologist or a specialist or a real estate agent. And yeah, there's way more that we do than open doors. And hold hands. Not that that's a bad thing. Holding hands is very important when it is the most important and crazy transaction of your life. Holding hands. We have to do that too. But there's so many things. Going back to the math of the matter, the CMAs, the comparative analysis, that is how home values are determined. And that is a huge educational point. And yeah, you can make a mistake while doing it if you don't know what you're doing. And that's why there's all these additional educations and certifications beyond real estate school. And that's why I'm a pricing strategy advisor and all of those things you see on the wall, not this wall, but a wall in an office, the degrees, the certifications, the blah, blah, blah. All of that is very important because it has taught us to price things right, to negotiate properly, to buy and sell like professionals and not just stand there and open doors and hold hands, as much as I love holding your hand, and I will always hold your hand through the transaction. But wow, these articles, well, I guess that's why it's an opinion piece. But that's it, that's all.